Abdurrahman Ibn Awf radiallahu anhu was famously one of Prophet ﷺ's closest and wealthiest companions. He was also one of the Ashara Mubashara who were promised paradise by the Prophet. But very few people know of these 8 detailed wealth building secrets from his life that we have researched from ancient sources such as Tabaqat ibn Sa'ad, which cover his life complete with actual stories. And I'm sure most of you won't have heard of these stories, some of which are actually really easily copied strategies to get wealthier today in this day and age. So make sure you stick around until the end. Let's dive in. For those of you who are new, I'm Ibrahim, one of the co-founders of Islamic Finance Guru and Curate Capital. We handle investments north of £130 million for Muslim professionals all over the world. But trust me, not many in modern finance circles match the scale of Abdurrahman Ibn Awf. He's known to have once rolled into Medina with a caravan of 700 loaded camels. One camel in those times was equivalent to a supercar in our times, all of which he then ended up donating away. The stories of his generosity are legendary. But behind that generosity was strategy, perseverance, and an unwavering faith. So let's dive in, starting with one of the most often overlooked wealth secrets from his life. You might assume that Abdurrahman came from a rich family, but nothing could be further from the truth. When he arrived in Medina as a penniless migrant, he literally had nothing. He was starting from zero again. And his newly paired Ansari brother, Sa'ad ibn Rabi', offered him half of his wealth, and he offered him one of his wives. And yet Abdurrahman ibn Awf, he politely refused, and he famously said, "Just show me the way to the market." And he started trading in basic commodities like dried yogurt and butter, ensuring that every deal that he did was transparent. Why? Self-reliance is the key thing here. That is at the heart of our Islamic tradition. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't change the affairs of a people or a person until they actually take the first steps to change what is within themselves. We are not a nation of handouts. We are a nation of action and proactivity. A can-do attitude where Abdurrahman ibn Awf wanted to stand on his own 2 feet as much as possible, even though he was offered help, legitimate halal help from his friends. He didn't want to take that. He wanted to do it himself. And it was that attitude which led him to set up a very prosperous business very quickly on, and actually get married quite early as well. Many entrepreneurs, they try and put off marriage and they say, look, I'm going to start my business and I'm going to start my career, and in my 20s I just want to focus on that and I don't want to get married quickly. Abdurrahman ibn Awf got married very early, and that, by the way, for those of you who aren't married, is a great lesson. Get married early. That could be a wealth secret right there. And it paid off. Within days, Abdurrahman ibn Awf had enough gold to pay for a dowry and then some. And in one less known account in Tabaqat ibn Sa'ad, it notes how he actually kept meticulous records, so no shady or unethical transactions could creep in whatsoever. The next wealth secret is doing your due diligence. Abdurrahman was no mere bystander. He scouted market trends, he built relationships, and he reinvested his profits. The Quran talks about having ihsan or excellence in every single endeavor that we do. وَأَنفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. The Quran says that you should spend in the way of Allah and don't throw yourselves with your own hands into destruction, i.e., you should make sure that you are taking sensible and wise decisions and do good. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves the doers of good, that loves the doers of ihsan, of excellence. And according to some narrations, Abdurrahman personally would inspect goods for the quality, ensuring that there is fair pricing so that even new customers felt safe from buying from him. An anecdote from an early historical source says that if he sensed a product might be defective, he'd clearly mark it as such and lower the price rather than trying to hide the flaw. This earned him a sterling reputation, and where trust flourishes, business thrives. Next, let's talk about collaboration. The Quran urges us to help one another in righteousness. وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. Instead of hoarding capital, Abdurrahman ibn Awf, who had been given so much and who could have said, I don't want to send any of my money, I don't want to help any people around me so that they might become my competitors. No, he would share his resources. He would give interest-free loans to the smaller traders so that they could get started. He wouldn't worry about that they might become his competitor. No, he would help them out. Then there was no riba involved either, so the relationship wasn't exploitative. Tabaqat ibn Sa'ad recounts that many of Medina's new entrepreneurs owed their break to Abdurrahman ibn Awf radiallahu anhu. They repaid him if they could. If not, he sometimes wrote off their debts. And guess what? When those traders succeeded, they'd bring more business to him in gratitude as a result of that. That's a powerful win-win. Now let's turn to the legendary narration from Talha radiallahu anhu, who said that 1/3 of Medina had debts that Abdurrahman ibn Awf paid off for them. 1/3 took those interest-free loans from him so that they could prosper and build their business. And the remaining 1/3, they received charity directly from Abdurrahman ibn Awf radiallahu anhu. So Talha, he famously said that all of Medina lives of Abdurrahman ibn Awf. Imagine that scope. He systematically freed people from debt burdens, helped them stand on their own 2 feet, and then supported entire families with pure sadaqah where that was needed. Just like Abdurrahman really looked after his people, we need to stick together today and look after our community. And by the way, you can do that in one small way by joining the IFG family and subscribing and sharing this video with others who you think will really benefit from this, inshallah. Now this one you probably will have heard of before, where the Prophet ﷺ, he said, charity does not decrease wealth. But let's see how that looks in action. You see, historians mentioned that there was a time where Abdurrahman ibn Awf, he brought a 700 camel caravan loaded with goods into Medina. When the caravan had crossed Medina and it was actually leaving Medina, the other end of it hadn't even entered the other side of Medina. That was how long that caravan was. When he heard a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ cautioning him about the test of wealth in the hereafter, Abdurrahman ibn Awf, he started weeping and he donated the entire caravan on the spot because he cared about the akhirah. He was not attached to that money, even though the money chased him. He was not attached to it. To the outside eye, that seems insane. Yet it only increased his barakah. And soon after, other profitable opportunities arose which restored his wealth several times over once more. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He talks about this kind of act in the Quran when He talks about a goodly loan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يُقْرِضُ اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا فَيُضَاعِفَ لَهُ أَضْعَافًا كَثِيرًا. Who is it that would loan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a goodly loan so that He may multiply it for him many times over? You see, this is not all just theory. Abdurrahman radiallahu anhu, he lived this life. Despite his fortune, Abdurrahman ibn Awf never grew arrogant. We have accounts in which he wept when a lavish meal was served to him, remembering that his companions like Mus'ab ibn Umair, who died with practically nothing, would never have seen something like this. He's reported to have said, I fear we have been given our blessings in this life instead of the next. And this is a man who was promised paradise from the Sadiq al-Amin, from the trustworthy, from the truthful. It is already guaranteed that he's going to paradise, and yet this was his level of humbleness and his level of piety. The Quran warns against arrogance, and he took that warning seriously. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, and do not turn your cheek in contempt from people. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like every self-deluded and boastful one. Abdurrahman would constantly check his heart, ensuring that wealth didn't make him forget his internal goals. The Quran promises something incredible. لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you are grateful, I will surely increase you. Historians say that Abdurrahman would mark each successful trade with extra thanksgiving, distributing food among the poor, sometimes freeing slaves as a direct expression of gratitude. And one lesser known story is that once there was a harvest from an orchard that he owned which nearly tripled the expected yield, and he immediately hosted a public feast, declaring, all of this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so let Allah's creation share in it. That's more than lip service. He showed gratitude with his actions, and that in turn brought even more barakah to his wealth. Abdurrahman feared wealth could become a trap. The Quran says, وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. Let every soul look at what it has put forth for tomorrow. Abdurrahman Ibn Awf would regularly reflect on his balance of charitable giving versus accumulating. And narrations mention how he'd actually keep an updated tally on how many camels and goats or gold coins he had, and then he would cross-check that with how much had been distributed in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So by constantly doing this auditing, this muhasabah, he ensured that his moral and his spiritual well-being kept pace with his financial growth at the same time. So here they are, folks, the 8 wealth secrets of Abdurrahman ibn Awf, many of which you probably never heard about before, each backed by a real anecdote from authentic sources. Number 1, Abdurrahman was incredibly self-reliant. Number 2, he was diligent. Number 3, he cared about partnerships. Number 4, paying off debts and giving interest-free loans to others. Charity, multiplying his wealth. Humility, gratitude, and self-accountability. Those are the 8 elixirs to actually building real long-term wealth with barakah in it. If you found value here, hit like and make sure you subscribe and share this with someone in your network who you think could use a spark of inspiration from Abdurrahman's entrepreneurship. And let's revive these timeless lessons in our day and age. I'm Ibrahim from Islamic Finance Guru. Thank you for watching. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.